So, we've been seeing a lot of different things happening when it comes to the Iran war with the United States and the Middle East. Oil wasn't gonna go up forever, but at the same time, it's a market play. Lots of people were very over leveraged, betting the oil was gonna go to 200, and we had a lot of news talking about it. In the meantime, oil crashed a little bit, 15, 10 to 15% down today. And as soon as President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire, Iran started bombing other countries. So what we have now is a impasse. Iran also said that they will accept only Bitcoin for ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, which is something that will pretty much act as a catalyst for Bitcoin's price action, of course. But we still have a lag down. People are betting that because of this, Bitcoin is going to go up like crazy. What I see though is a pretty perfect opportunity for market makers to manipulate the market and actually get it down like they want it to. I think the price range for a bottom in this Bitcoin bear market is around 46 to $54,000. And while we don't see this actually happening, I do think there's going to be news to force people to, again, over leverage and wait, thinking we are at the bottom already, but we're not. We need to be careful. This is the basics that I wanted to tell in this video. I do think we need to be more patient, and I do think there's a lot of manipulation going on and price action, not only Bitcoin, but also commodities like oil. This is not a good time to be overly exposed in the market. I think that once we reach the 50,000 levels, 50,000 from 50 to 59,000, we can actually start thinking about buying Bitcoin for real in order to accumulate for the next bull run. Until then, I don't think it's wise to play the game that they want retail to play. When we look at institutionals and how they're doing, we don't see as much on-chain activity in Bitcoin from them as we're seeing from retail. And at the same time, when we look at derivatives, retail is again going a little bit stronger since this new announcement that Iran will use Bitcoin to get paid in order for ships to cross the Strait of Hormuz. We need to be careful here. Um, I do not think that Iran is worried about Bitcoin bottom or anything like that. I just think that they truly think Bitcoin right now is the most um, neutral currency that they can use in order to not suffer any kind of limitations, embargoes. Um, they're trying as much as they can to not pass through what Russia had to go through when the Russian and Ukraine war started. It's just a question of patience right now, nothing more. Once Bitcoin actually forms a structural bottom that satisfies the big players and the institutionals, and once Bitcoin's electric price for mining achieves a satisfactory value, only then I think that we're going to actually announce, not directly, but to those who can see, a bottom. And from there, I do think that Bitcoin can not rapidly increase in value, but I am one of the people who also think that the classical Bitcoin cycle is no more. We need to understand that as we have mass institutional adoption, billions and billions of dollars in flow, and countries like what we see now in the Strait of Hormuz accepting Bitcoin and actively trading Bitcoin, there are two paths that we can trace. One of them is we can actually understand why Bitcoin might have less volatility because as an asset matures, volatility goes down. This is something that we can backtest throughout financial history. But until this can stabilize, I do think that we're going to have a somewhat faster rally than the previous rallies we had before. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say in this video. Let's just be patient. See you in the next one.